One of the greatest days known to mankind has arrived, everyone. Welcome to Selection Sunday here in Coach Carter's College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series. My name is College Sports Revived, and for the first time ever, I'm making Selection Sunday its own video, and there is a reason for that. Dating back to the Tennessee Martin era of this series, we've had now 5 tournament teams if you count this season, but no team has had the same type of sloppy finish we've had here in Season 4. Normally, we enter the tournament red hot, fresh off a conference tournament run or a championship, but this time around, we've had 3 straight losses that summed up our season in a very non-Coach Carter type of fashion. This nearly pushes out to the tournament bubble as your Fordham Rams eagerly await near the TV to see if they can beat their 9 seed from a season ago. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I'm going to get this episode up a day after the loss to Dayton video. For some reason, it's been really hard getting up videos. My Wi-Fi and my computer and my software, just uploading it to YouTube has been taking either forever, or it'll tell me it's uploaded and then pop up at the very end of the whole process and say your video cannot be uploaded, try again. So it's been really annoying. Thank you for bearing with me, as I know I've not been uploading as much as I want to, but nonetheless, let's hop in and let the 2K Sports Studio take the call from here on out.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Greg Gumbel here with my partner Clark Kellogg, bringing you the 2K Sports NCAA Selection Show. We're all set to show you the seedings and pairings, so get out your bracket sheet, get those pencils ready. Here are the basics. Before we get into the brackets for the upcoming tournament, let's take a look at the final top 25 media poll. There's one big change you'll notice in the rankings. A new team has made the top 25 this week. The Virginia Commonwealth Rams break into the poll as the number 23 team. The media rankings are what everyone's been following for the last 4 months, but in just a minute, the selection committee's opinion is going to be the only one that matters. It's time to talk about the topic that has a lot of players and coaches holding their breath right now, the NCAA tournament bubble. These are the 10 teams that aren't worried as much about where they'll be playing as if they'll be playing. Clark, who jumps out at you there?
George Washington could have sealed their invitation with a better regular season finish, but the fact is they play in a very tough conference, and that does weigh heavily in their favor.
The NCAA Selection Committee has finished its meeting, and we're ready to unveil the top 4 seeds in this year's tournament. The Seton Hall Pirates are the top overall seed, and they will play in the East Regional. On to the second number 1 seed, who will play in the South Regional. The LSU Tigers are seeking their first ever NCAA championship. The UNLV Runnin' Rebels are our third number 1 seed, and they'll play in the Midwest Regional. They're back in the tournament again, and no doubt they'll be feeding off the experience of last year's appearance as they try to get to the Final Four this year. And finally, our fourth number 1 seed will play in the West Regional. The Florida Gators are in the tournament field as a number 1 seed for the 3rd time in the history of their program. Now, here's how the brackets shape up based on where the number 1 seeds have been assigned. So, with the number 1 seeds out of the way, it's finally time to tackle the rest of the brackets. First up, we take a look at the East Regional. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the George Washington Colonials, who were 6th in their conference, finishing at 18-10. Next up is the number 2 seed. The Brigham Young Cougars are the conference tournament and regular season champions from the Mountain West Conference. They'll be going up against the number 15 seed, the Tennessee Martin Skyhawks, with 20 wins. This is their 6th appearance ever in the NCAA tournament. Next up, we'll take a look at the South Regional. On to our third bracket of the day. Let's take a look at the Midwest Regional. Our number 8 seed is from the Big 12. The Texas Tech Red Raiders are on a hot streak, having just won their conference tournament championship. They're going to play the number 9 seed, the St. Joseph's Hawks, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 23-11. Let's have a look at the West Regional. The Florida Gators are the top seed, finishing at 27-6. They were conference tournament champions in the SEC. They'll take on the Oakland Grizzlies, the number 16 ranked team. This will be their second appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. Next up is the number 8 seed. The Fordham Rams have established themselves as one of the best teams from the A-10 conference. They'll be going up against the number 9 seed, the Syracuse Orange, with 18 wins. They return once more to the very familiar surroundings of the NCAA tournament. Baylor comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 25-8. And they will take on the 12th seed from the Sun Belt Conference, the Florida Atlantic Owls, with 21 wins. St. Louis comes in as the number 4 seed, finishing at 23-8. Indiana State comes in to face them at number 13 with 18 wins in the tournament championship of the Missouri Valley Conference. Our number 6 seed is from the Colonial Athletic Association. The Virginia Commonwealth Rams come into the NCAA tournament as winners of their regular season and conference tournament championships. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Indians of Louisiana Monroe, who finished second in their conference tournament, finishing at 21-8. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the UC Riverside Highlanders, with 20 wins. And now the number 7 seed, the Northwestern Wildcats, come into the tournament on the strength of a third-place finish in their conference regular season and were semifinalists in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Virginia Cavaliers, who were 7th in their conference, finishing at 16-13. Connecticut enters the field as the number 2 seed from the Big East. It's yet another appearance in the brackets for a school that's no stranger to the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 15 seed, the Northwestern State Demons, finished the season with 17 wins.
The Connecticut Huskies are going to provide serious matchup problems to any team that doesn't have depth and defensive ability at both guard spots. They have outstanding backcourt play at both ends of the court. It's the main reason they've made it this far, and they're going to have to maintain that form if they want to do some damage in this tournament.
It's the first question every Selection Sunday. Which is the toughest bracket? Well, this bracket looks to me like it wins that prize this year. Not only are the top seeds strong, the lower seeds can be dangerous as well. Clark, how do you view this year's top 16?
There are no real off-the-wall picks that jump out at me. These 16 teams are all pretty deserving. Let's give the committee some props this year.
We showed you the bubble teams before. Now that we know who's in and who's out, what do you think of the selections, Clark?
SMU must feel a whole lot better now than they did before the show started. Oklahoma can point the finger squarely at themselves for putting together a butter-soft schedule this season and then not rolling through it. If you're not going to schedule any tough games, then you'd better win more games than they did.
Thanks, Clark. I'm sure that this year will provide us with all the thrills and excitement that we've come to expect from the tournament.
Greg, it's going to be a fantastic tournament. We've got an outstanding field and a lot of sensational players. I guarantee there are some memorable moments soon to come.
For my partner Clark Kellogg and for all of us here in the 2K Sports Studios, I'm Greg Gumbel. Thanks for joining us on the NCAA Selection Show, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer.
Wow. All I can say is wow, guys. The series has gone full circle. 4 years ago, when we started this series, it was against the Syracuse Orange. That was the first ever matchup of this Fordham era up in the Carrier Dome. And now, in search of the school's first tournament win since the 80s, we're back to where we started in a way. Wow, this is going to be pretty crazy. A little disappointed we couldn't improve on the 8-9 game again, but still, an 8th seed is still an improvement. And if you guys want to stick around until the end, I'm going to preview the Syracuse team. This is a very different team from 4 years ago when we first played them to kick off this series. Obviously, the personnel is largely different, but it should go without, it goes beyond that in the situation. Gone are the days of the grit and grind teams of Jim Boeheim thanks to their top 3 offense. They've completely revamped their game plan, and it almost makes you question, why has the great Jimmy Boeheim changed the makeup of his squad so drastically? Well, maybe it's because Boeheim is no longer at the head of the program. He retired, and now the former coach of Pepperdine steps in. The Waves are actually one of the top mid-major teams in the country this season. I think they earned a 6th seed, so clearly he did a great job there. Here I thought we were going to have to game plan for the 2-3 zone and the slow pace of the Orange, but turns out we're going to have to prepare for a different type of team. Before we go, let's highlight the top 3 players we're going to have to game plan for ahead of the matchup. And where else is a better place to start than their leading scorer, Elijah Ambrose, a 6'10 senior who will be the matchup for Lloyd Hicks. He's a very well-rounded offensive threat, and with 84 strength, he might actually be one of the tougher matchups of Hicks' freshman season. Isaiah Odom is second on the squad in points, and he's one of the few remnants from that year 1 team that played us, but he's really improved his game since in just about every way possible. He's an excellent shooter, rebounder, has great vision, and averages over 3 steals and blocks combined a game. Our guy Kai Hendry, who's had a bad track record in playoff games, will have to navigate the all-around skills of Isaiah Odom to finally have the signature playoff performance he is due for. The third and final player is only 5th on the team in scoring, but his overall says it all. I introduce you to the third-rated freshman in the country, Josh Wainwright, who has the upside to become one of the best passers college basketball has ever seen. He has a lot in common with Damian. I always get nervous for these guys whose stats don't stand out but have the high overall because they can sneak up on you and have a game-changing performance. Well, guys, that's it. All is left to do is to play the game, which that video will be coming out over the upcoming days, and I'm very excited to put that together for you guys. It's going to be a fun one. Fordham and Syracuse. This might be becoming a bit of a rivalry, depending on what happens in this one. But overall, let's see if we can get revenge for that loss 4 years ago that tipped off this series. It's going to be pretty crazy. As we all know, the tournament games on this channel are always crazy. That's just how this game is. You never have a blowout in March Madness in this video game, so it's always a lot of fun. It's always a nice challenge too. So Fordham still in search of their first tournament win over Coach Carter. He's been so close a couple times now, but let's see if this is the year he gets it done. Trying to go 1-1 all time in March Madness, and then see if we can make a run out of it. So we'll see you guys then. I'm College Sports Survive signing out. Excited. Hope you guys are too. I'll see you then. Have a great night.